Howdy, I'm Angus, and welcome to my garage. Thanks for joining me today. This is actually the second part of this project where I make 4 break room tables for a client. In my last video, I showed you the construction of these tables. In this video, I'm going to show you how I customize them and finish them for the client. I'll also be taking you along on the journey to install them in their new home. If you haven't seen the first video and it sounds like something you want to watch, feel free to watch it first. I'll still be here. And if you don't like 2-part videos, then hopefully I'll see you next time when I have a different new project. For everyone else still watching, let's get started. When we left off last time, I still had to sand and finish the tables. You might notice I had surgery on my wrist. It's not bandaged up from a shop accident. This is combination polyacrylic and stain. I also needed to stabilize the tabletops, so I laminated a circle of 1/2-inch plywood on the bottom. Then I stained it so it blends into the bases. I decided the legs needed to be thicker, so I just used construction adhesive and brad nails to beef them up. Now, I don't have a CNC to cut something like this, so I printed the logo on regular paper, cut off a piece of whiteboard, and glued the logo on to make my template. Drilling out each of the corners with a Forstner bit will make it easier to cut out the stencil. This is the perfect tool for this. It's basically an upside-down jigsaw. I'm going to use this bearing bit in my router to cut out the parts of the logo that'll be filled in later. Normally I would hold this with double-sided tape, but I got a bad batch that didn't stick. So these nails will hold the template in place and the holes will be filled in later. Semi-pro tip, if you leave the template in place, you can use it as a shoulder block to chisel out the corners precisely. I want to seal the wood before using epoxy. I'm just using water-based polyacrylic. It'll ensure the epoxy doesn't soak into the wood and nothing from the wood seeps up into the epoxy. Total amateur tip, if you use your level on its side, you can use these perpendicular vials to check that both Y and X axes are level without having to rotate it. The logo will consist of 2-part epoxy. I just added powder pigment, alcohol ink, and acrylic until it looked like the wake of the Exxon Valdez. Sorry, that was a crude joke. This is the really satisfying part. And of course, everything I did on one table, I had to do 3 more times. The green part of the logo is the same process of 2-part epoxy, then adding ingredients to taste until it looks like I solved the secret of the ooze. Shout out to my fellow Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans. After that cured, I could flatten and sand the tabletops and apply a driftwood stain. Shout out to my fellow Count of Monte Cristo fans. Now, because the epoxy doesn't like adhering to stains and all the reasons I mentioned earlier about preventing cross-contamination, I'm sealing it again with the polyacrylic. And here you get a little sneak preview of that shiny half of the table. I anticipate that these tables may get some abuse, so I decided to cover them with clear tabletop epoxy. I'm using the epoxy sparingly, so instead of one big risky pour, I built up thin layers and sanded in between to get it perfectly flat. I think this is the best part. A torch heats the epoxy into a less viscous state, which makes it level out better, and it allows the bubbles to float to the surface to pop. And it's just fun to do. After the final coat of epoxy cured, I sanded through all the grits from 60 all the way up to wet sanding with 1,000 grit sandpaper. Needless to say, this took a little while. The next step is to spray lacquer on top. Don't worry about the ventilation, this is just water. My final pro tip is that you can use water to dial in your spray gun settings. And since the tables are sealed with epoxy, I can even do a practice run to get an idea of how shiny they'll be with lacquer. Admittedly, you should really wear gloves when you handle solvents. Best case scenario is you end up having to redo your nail polish, but it's pretty caustic stuff, and a lot worse things than that can happen. I'm spraying the real thing here, so all the doors are open and I'm wearing a respirator. But actually seeing the tables with the final gloss coat is just another one of those super satisfying steps of this build. The final step before transporting the tables is to buff them with an automotive polish, then apply wax with a dual-action 8-inch buffer. The best practice for a random orbit sander or a buffer is to move in one direction, overlapping each pass slightly, and then cover the table again, moving perpendicular to your first passes. And you always want to keep moving. I cleaned up the compound with water, but you'll have to wait until the final install to see what these look like at their full gloss. Off camera, I welded up this little guy. It's sort of an auxiliary roof rack. It's just going to help me transport the tables. It doesn't really have anything to do with this project, so I'm not going to show a lot of it. Also, this is the first thing I've ever welded in my life, and it's not that good, so I don't want to show you that. But you know, like the saying goes, a grinder and paint still can't fix this mess. The plan is to clamp this onto my existing roof rack to just give me some more attachment points so that I can transport the parts of the tables a little bit easier. My sheepdog. Bye, Nora. It is now first thing in the morning, and I am packed up and ready to deliver these tables to their new home in Omaha. Let's hope this works. That baby's not going anywhere. It's a vlog now. Deal with it. Alright, this trip has 2 turns, and this is one of them. Let's go! Oh, I guess we're here.
Welcome to Nebraska.
All right, we're here. Today's the big day. It's install day here at Extra Mile Sports in Omaha. Not a sponsored video, but they're a very good friend of the channel. If you're in the mood for some sporting goods, I recommend you check them out. If you watch to the very end of the video, I'll have a promo code just to say thanks for watching. Because I planned everything out so thoroughly, the install itself was pretty uneventful. Everything went together according to plan. Seriously, I was waiting for something to go wrong, but it never did. Well, there's always next time. This is about the point where everyone noticed the tables being set up, and suddenly my tables were more popular than the Cornhuskers. Probably because my tables don't have 3 losses and only 1 win. Today's actually a day off for the store, so everybody's here just to party and play games. Come on, do something good for the people of YouTube.
Someone was like, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Whoever bars and I saw the blown out. That's why. Oh yeah! Got me!
All right, that's gonna be it for this video. As you can see, these tables are already getting some use. I wanna say a big thanks to my friends here at Extra Mile Sports, and thank you for watching this video. The first 15 people who go to my Etsy store and use the code EXTRAMILE will get an extra 15% off their order. Thanks for subscribing and have a great day being crafty.